What happens when the platform that redefined modern beauty, launched millions of careers, and made brunch photos a thing, suddenly disappears? Imagine waking up, opening your phone, and Instagram is gone. No more stories. No more DMs. No more scrolling through curated lives or liking your cousin's engagement post for the algorithm gods. Just poof. Silence. But here's the thought. If a platform this massive can vanish, how much of our digital life is truly in our control? Let's start at the top. Office building. Instagram's collapse. The corporate earthquake. Meta, Instagram's parent company, relies on the platform for a huge chunk of its ad revenue, around $50 billion a year. If Instagram collapsed today, that revenue wouldn't just drop, it would vaporize. That's more than 1/3 of Meta's total income, gone in an instant. Wall Street doesn't like surprises, especially billion-dollar ones. Meta's stock could nosedive, potentially wiping out hundreds of billions in market value. Pause here. What does it say about a company when it's so financially dependent on one single app? And let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg's wallet. With so much of his net worth tied to Meta stock, a collapse could shrink his fortune by $30 to $50 billion overnight, turning him from tech titan to, well, still rich but significantly less terrifying at board meetings. Now ask yourself, should any one person's wealth be this tightly linked to the digital habits of billions? Then there's the human cost. Meta would likely lay off tens of thousands of employees. Entire departments, engineering, product design, marketing, data science, even content moderation teams would face brutal cuts. Think of all the people who've spent years optimizing a feed that no longer exists. Here's the question. How secure are tech jobs when even the biggest platforms can fall? Worse, this collapse could throw Meta's long-term strategy into chaos. Threads, Meta's Twitter rival, relies on Instagram's network. If Insta vanishes, Threads becomes an orphaned experiment. Their investments in AI-driven content discovery, influencer tools, and even VR/metaverse integration through Instagram shopping and avatars. Useless. Think about it. Can a company truly innovate when it builds every new idea on top of one fragile foundation? Investors would demand answers. The board would face intense pressure. Lawsuits might even fly, especially if the shutdown revealed deeper tech flaws or security breaches. This wouldn't just be a business loss. It'd be a reputational catastrophe. So consider, should we trust platforms that hold so much personal data, yet could collapse so easily? But when one giant falls, others rise. The competitor feeding frenzy. Platforms like TikTok and YouTube Shorts would go on a user gold rush. Influencers scrambling to salvage their followings? They'd flood these platforms with content. Brands would chase them dollars in hand. Now think, are these platforms better equipped? Or are we just jumping from one dependency to another? Pinterest and Snapchat would probably lean into visual storytelling. Discord might see an uptick in communities looking for safe spaces to regroup and stay connected. Even Be Real might get its moment. Imagine if Instagram's collapse triggered a return to unfiltered authenticity? Here's a question. Could a social reset actually bring us closer to more genuine connection? But that's the big picture. Let's zoom in. For the users, a digital identity crisis. First, the obvious. Some users would feel relief. Without the pressure to perform, compare, or strategically, mental health for many, especially teens, might improve. People might focus more on real-life interactions, creative hobbies, or just being present. But challenge yourself. Do we need an app to disappear just to feel free again? But that's not the whole story. For others, the crash would trigger a digital withdrawal. Instagram wasn't just an app, it was a life archive. Photos, stories, DMs, friendships, sometimes even marriages began there. Losing it feels like losing a part of yourself. So here's the critical point. Are we backing up our digital memories? Or are we trusting too much in platforms we don't own? And what about creators and influencers? Some would adapt, migrating to TikTok, YouTube, or launching newsletters and personal websites. But many, especially micro-influencers who depended on Instagram's ecosystem, would face major income loss. Sponsorships vanish. Affiliate links die. Livelihoods shatter overnight. So ask this. Should content creation be a career if it's at the mercy of an algorithm? Small businesses would suffer too. Millions relied on Instagram to market, connect, and sell, especially during the pandemic. Many don't have backup platforms or mailing lists. For them, the collapse could mean bankruptcy. Think critically. How many of our local businesses are thriving or just surviving because of a single platform? Youth culture would be thrown into flux. Trends? Paused. Aesthetic references? Lost. Gen Z and Gen Alpha would need to find new ways to define cool, connect, and express themselves. Expect new social norms to rise fast, possibly built around group chats, pop-up platforms, or whatever app figures out how to be the next Instagram. Here's your mental nudge. If young people lead culture on social media, what happens when the stage collapses? And yes, your mom would probably text you, "Why can't I see your vacation pictures anymore?" So what's next? Would people go outside more? Maybe. Would they flock to new platforms? Absolutely. Would a post-Instagram world be better or worse? That's the million-like question. Because in the end, Instagram wasn't just a product, it was a culture, a currency, and for many, a digital home. Final thought. If your online world disappeared tomorrow, what would you still have? And if that home ever disappeared, where would you go? If this got you thinking, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos that go deeper than the scroll. Got a backup plan if Instagram ever crashes? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to check the links below for more tools, ideas, and digital survival guides. Co-written by a human, imagined and composed by AI.